Hi there, Corey with LaPlante Management. I want to talk today about Zendesk Triggers. And in this video, we will walk through what they are and how they work by going through a specific example. So the first question is, what is a Zendesk Trigger and why do I care? So a Zendesk Trigger will act on any tickets that you have, and it can take one or more actions based on a bunch of different conditions. Now that sounds complicated, but when we look at the example, I think it'll make sense. So how do they work? Let's walk through this example here of a trigger that sends an email to the requester and anybody who's copied on the ticket, given a set of criteria. So the first thing to know about triggers is they will act on either all conditions or any conditions or both. And so in this case, you can see that we've got a bunch of all conditions, and those all have to be met. And then there are some any conditions down here, and if any one of them is met, then that also is good enough to send this out. So let's walk through these all conditions first. You can see the first one seems really simple. The comment is public. But if you don't have that on there, then it won't send just if it's a public one, and you don't want to send if it's private. So you want to meet the condition that the comment is public. You can also see tags contains none of the following, and you can see I've got a text out tag, some macros that I've built in this instance that will send texts from specific phone numbers. I'll apply this tag. If that tag is there, then don't send an email. And so you can also see don't send the email if there's a bunch of these delay tags on there. These are built with an automation so that instead of sending the message immediately, it will delay it by that amount of time. So whether it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 4, or longer, if I'm working on this thing at 2 in the morning, I don't necessarily want my client to know that I'm working at 2 in the morning, and so I might delay that for 8 hours and have it send at 10 in the morning, and they think I'm a normal human being. You can also see the group is not blank. In this case, I want to make sure that this is tied to a specific group so that the footer and some of the other stuff in the message is tied specifically to the brand that I want it to send from. You can also see comment text does not contain the following string, new file submission for ticket. That is because we actually have a secure file system where people can submit or receive files from us that are encrypted. In this case, this would be like the do not reply version of that. So if I get that, I don't want to send an email to the do not reply version, so I just included that in there to make sure that doesn't ever happen. The channel is not text. That one's fairly self-explanatory. I don't want to send a text and then respond with an email. The requester is not the current user. If I am the one who has requested this, which basically means I'm the one who initiated the original email, then I don't want to email myself. So now I don't. And then the tag contains at least one of the following. This one is tied again to the multiple brands that this instance has. I want it to only send this particular version of the email. If it's got that tag, that means it's that brand. And then the any conditions, if the ticket is created or the ticket is updated. In either one of those scenarios, I want to send this email. If I only did it when tickets were created, maybe I want a separate email body, or just when they're updated. In this case, I want the same one for both of those scenarios. So then, if all of that gets met, those all of the all criteria and any of the any criteria get met, then do something. And in this case, it's going to do 3 things. It's going to send an email, and we'll come back to this one. It's going to assign this particular brand, and it's going to assign this particular ticket form to it. So let's talk about this email body and what all's going on here. So you can see it's going to send an email to the requester and all the CCs. The subject is going to be the ticket title. This placeholder means that it will be dynamic based on whatever I put in the title. If I wanted only one email subject ever, I could just type it in here. It would ignore the ticket title, and it would put whatever I put into this box here. And then in the body, this can be as simple as just send whatever I type into the email description, but you can also do a lot of other things. And so in this case, let's walk through some of those things. It used to be the case that Zendesk would basically blind copy everybody who was CC'd and not tell the recipient that that was happening. And so then they would reply and not know they were replying to all. So in this case, this was just a message to warn everybody, hey, there are people CC'd on this ticket, and when you reply, you are going to reply to them. So that way no one gets surprised and accidentally sends a message they think is to one person out to 10 people. That can be awkward and embarrassing. So here's a lot of stuff that does that makes all that happen. You don't have to worry about that. On any of these complex things, if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, that's something that we can certainly help with. Ticket public comments formatted. This is the actual message being delivered. Whatever you type into that public comment box, here it is. It's going to send that. And then you can do some other things. So in this case, depending on the service level and the team, I wanted to send a different link to schedule some time with that particular team. And so here I've set some conditions based on some ticket fields and then included a link that you can just click that says click here, and the word here is this actual link to schedule a call. This Zendesk instance is tied to a company that does some consulting for CPA firms. So that's why it looks like this. But just so you know, that possibility exists that you can set some specific criteria to make your footer look the way you want it to dynamically, depending on certain items. So if we were to come down further here, you can see some other things. There's a lot of ifs and end ifs and else that's going on. Don't worry about all that. The agent's signature is a placeholder that's going to pop through. So this is going to say Corey. And then in this case, I've got one where if people wanted to securely send me a file, which I mentioned earlier as part of that trigger, you can just click this link here and it will let you do that. And then I also have all of my legal jargon down at the bottom. All of this stuff here in this email body down below the message is going to just show up at the very bottom of the ticket. So not at every single response, just at the very bottom of the ticket itself. But it means I've covered my legal bases, and I have only sent emails when I want to. So that seems very complicated, and in some cases it can be. If you ever have questions on how to handle triggers, you feel like you're a little bit out of your league, down below this video on our website is a contact form. If you're watching this on YouTube, go to the notes, and there's a link to that contact form there. We'd be happy to walk through this and help you set things up the way that makes sense for your company. But hopefully this gives you a good overview of the things you could do in Zendesk Triggers. They're very powerful. You can do a lot of cool stuff. So that is Zendesk Triggers. I'm Corey with LaPlante Management. Thanks for watching.